Hello and welcome back to the BP Pilates app. Today we are going to be doing a full body reformer workout. As we go through our workout today, we actually aren't going to be using any props. So we're only going to be using the reformer and our own body weight as we go through the workout today. As we go through, it's not technically classical Pilates. It's still going to have a contemporary flair to it as we go through our workout, as we'll be doing some lunges and things like that off to the side of the reformer. So make sure you're all set, ready? Let's get to it. All right, so to get started, we're gonna warm up with some footwork. So on my reformer, I'm on a balanced body reformer. I'm gonna start with 2 reds, a blue, and a green. If you'd like to add a yellow spring on and go all springs on, you can. If you're on a stout reformer, I usually like to go 2 reds and a blue and a white, or you could even just do 2 reds and a blue. Go ahead, lie all the way down on your back. So I'm going to start by bringing my heels all the way wide onto the foot bar today with an external rotation through the feet, the knees, and the hips. So I'm just going to find a neutral spine, neutral pelvis on the carriage. So I'm going to anchor my tailbone down into the carriage and the slight lift above my tailbone, but still allowing my navel to draw into my spine and up to my ribs. Go ahead, take an inhale here to prepare. And then as I exhale, I'm going to press my legs all the way out to straight. And then inhale as I bend my knees back in. I'm going to exhale, press away, and then inhale as I bring it in. And then inhale, exhale out, inhale in. As I'm pressing out and in here, think of driving my heels through the foot bar. Let my feet be flexed. And then I'm using the back of my glute and my hamstrings. The back of my legs are firing up as I bend my knees and resist the weight of my springs and bring my carriage home. So, back of my legs are active. I'm also going to think of trying to activate my inner thighs in this external position here. As I'm pressing away, imagine that I'm trying to draw the backs of my knees toward the midline of the body, and then I inhale and bring it in. Exhale, and then inhale. And then I check in with my abdominals. Think of the belly button drawing into my spine and then up to the rib cage here. So I'm going to hollow and carve out my abdominals as I'm pressing out and in. Let the shoulder blades just kind of melt and glide down the back of the body as we're pressing in and out through here. Let's go out here for 3. Press the straight legs for 2. And then on this last one, I bring the carriage halfway in, and I'm going to go for little pulses here on the carriage. A little exhale and exhale as I pulse. Again, I think of trying to activate the inner thighs, pulse from the inner thighs, and then pulse from the back of the legs. Still scoop from the pelvic floor. Go for 8, 7, here for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then press all the way out. Inhale, I bend my knees, let the carriage come back in. All right, now from here, I'm going to bring my heels towards the center of my foot bar. I'm going to go into a Pilates V. Still on my heels, flexing the feet, anchor my tailbone. Take an inhale here to prepare, and then as you exhale, press out to straight legs, zipping up to the inner thighs, and then inhale, bend my knees back over the toes. Exhale to press out, inhale to bring it in. Imagine that the muscles around my femur bone are like a barbershop pole, spiraling outward to create that external rotation through the feet, knees, and the hips. Hollow and scoop from the pelvic floor as I exhale and press away. And then think of zipping up from the heels into the calves, the knees, the inner thighs. And then let that zip continue through the abdominals, all the way up through my ribs and my sternum. As I bend my knees in, I'm still resisting through the back of my glute and my hamstrings as I'm pressing out and in. And then around the abdominals, imagine that you're tightening a seatbelt from the tailbone around to the belly button here. Let's press it out for 4. Exhale, pressing it out for 3. Here for 2. And then on the last one, bring the carriage halfway in and hold it still. So I'm going to work on the internal rotation through the front of the hips. I'm going to pivot on the heels and bring my knees and toes to closed, and then my knees and toes to open. Exhale to close. Inhale, they open. Still active glutes to the back of the legs. Feel the internal rotation to the front of the hips. Let's go here for 3. Navel keeps drawing in. Exhale for 2. And then last one here. Press all the way out to straight legs. And then bend the knees, let it come back home. All right, so the very last one that we're going to do here is a parallel position on the toes. So I'm going to go about hip width distance apart. Weight is toward the ball of the foot and the big toe. I'm going to lift the heels just slightly. We're going to go for a little flow, pressing the carriage all the way out to straight legs. I let the heels lower down. The heels lift up. And then I bend the knees back in over the toes, and I repeat, pressing out to straight legs. Heels lower, heels lift, calf raise. And then bend the knees back in over the toes. Go for exhale, inhale, lower, exhale, lift, and then inhale, bend, exhale, and then inhale, exhale, inhale, bend. Still think, drawing the belly button into my spine and up to my ribs. Kind of hollow and carve out the abdominals. Keep my knees in that nice line with my toes and my hips. Nice and parallel. Check in with the low back. Still try to maintain neutral spine and neutral pelvis position. Let's go for 4 more flows for 4. Heels lower down. They lift. I bend it in for 3. 2 more here for 2. And then one last one. Exhale, press. Heels lower. I lift the heels. I keep them lifted. I bend halfway in. I'm going to activate through the glutes. I'm going to go for little pulses on the carriage here. Exhale and exhale. Think of the weight being toward the ball of the foot and the big toe, so that I'm strengthening into my arches and through the midline of the body here. Little exhale. Still firing up from the glutes. Scoop the belly button in. Go for 4. For 3, 2, hold the carriage here, and then little calf raises underneath the body. Let the heels lower, and then the heels lift, and then lower without the carriage moving. Heels go down, lift up together. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. 4 more, go down for 4, and I lift for 3. Here for 2, and then one last one. Press all the way out to straight legs and hold. I'm going to let one heel sink and one knee bend. And then just go for a little switch from foot to foot. Finishing, warming up to the ankles, warming up to the calves. If you need to, you can kind of pause on one side for a deeper stretch through the back of the legs. Go for a few more switching back and forth here. And then we're going to bend the knees and let the carriage come all the way back into home. Very nice. Go ahead and rock up to a seated position. We're going to get set up for some abdominals and supine arms next. So we're going to swap the springs down. I'm going to bring my springs down to 1 red, 1 blue. If you're on a Stott reformer, I would recommend going on to a heavy and a light spring. So that's a red and a white. Or if you like it heavier, you could always bump it up to a red and a blue. I'm going to leave my headrest up. Go ahead, lie all the way back down again. We're going to grab the straps. I'm going to imprint my spine, press my lower back all the way into the carriage. Grab my straps, bring my hands right over my shoulders. And then lift my legs up into a tabletop position. I'm going to take an inhale here to prepare. And then as I exhale, I'm going to sweep my arms down to the carriage. And then inhale and they float back up. Exhale, pull with the lat muscles down the side of the body. Inhale, and the arms float back up. Exhale all the air out of your lungs as you pull. And then inhale. Think of, again, letting the belly button melt down into the spine and then up to the ribs. And allow the shoulders to kind of reach away from the ears as you pull down on the straps. Start to add an abdominal crunch here. Exhale, we roll up through the head, neck, and the shoulders. And then inhale, and we roll it back down. Exhale, hollow and lift. And then inhale, roll down and lift. As you're crunching, think of shifting the ribs to the hips. And then making sure that as you crunch, the shoulders are shifting away from the ears. And a bit of rounding through the back of the neck. Go for 2 more here. Last one. Exhale, hollow and lift. Inhale, roll it down. We're going to start to extend one leg out at a time now as I crunch, reaching it out to long. Inhale, reset as I roll down. Exhale, alternate left leg reaches out. And then inhale, still pulling with straight arms, lat muscles reaching down the side of the body. And then inhale, exhale. Good. Continue for 4 more here. Exhale, crunch and reach it out for 4. Inhale and it lowers. Exhale, reaching it for 3. And then down, still trying to tighten that seatbelt back to front for 2. And on the last one, hold the left leg out there for just a quick second. Hold it here. Bicycle crunches with the legs. Going for a switch and a switch. Exhale and exhale. Go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then roll down and let it rest. Whew, very good. All right. From here, we're going to go for a full arm circle next. So I'm going to start with arms high, low back, flat legs, tabletop. And then I'm going to let my arms go out wide to the side. As I pull down to the hips, I'm going to give it a big crunch. And then roll down, let my arms float up to the ceiling. Wide out and around. Fire up the lat muscles, let them sweep down the sides. Inhale, lift. 1 more without the legs. Exhale, reach. Now on this next time as I crunch, I'm going to extend my legs out to 45 together. Press it out. Inhale, roll down, reset. Exhale. Inhale as we roll down. As you extend the legs, keep that low back pressed down into the carriage. Inhale, roll. Wide arms sweep toward the foot bar. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Go for 3 more here. Press, reaching it for 3. And then down. Wide out and around. Exhale for 2. Shoulders are still reaching away from the ears as I crunch. Press out and hold. Now I'm going to lift the legs all the way up. Inhale, I lower my legs back down. Still trying to hold that crunch if you can. If you need to relax the neck, try to keep the legs going. Lift the legs for 4. Exhale, scoop, lifting 3. Here for 2. Go 1, last 1. And then let it all roll down and rest. Ooh, all right, very nice. The last one that we're going to do is working into the triceps. So we're going to bring the elbows into the rib cage about 1 inch away from the carriage. And I'm going to bring my legs up to tabletop, keeping the low back imprinted into the carriage. And I'm going to exhale as I press my arms and legs out with a crunch to 45. Inhale, bend the elbows and the knees back in. Exhale, press, extend. Think of firing up through the back of the arms. My shoulders are reaching out of the ears still. And then if you can, just trying to tighten that seatbelt. So I'm drawing my navel down as I crunch. And then inhale. 5 more extensions. Press it out for 5. Inhale, bending in. Exhale, reaching it here for 4. And down. 3. Shoulders reaching away from the ears. Exhale, press, reaching it for 2. Good, and then one last one here. Exhale, press. Roll all the way down and let it rest. Very nice. Go ahead, hang your straps or your handles back up. Just go ahead, hold the shoulder blocks, and just gently let your knees rock side to side. Release any tension in the abdominals and the low back here. Just be gentle with it as you let the knees rock. Kind of catch the breath again. So next we're going to go into some bridging. So we're going to go ahead and get set up. Rock yourself up to a seated position here. I'm going to take my springs to 2 red springs. Just 2 red springs on. If you're on a stout reformer, you might go to a red and a blue, so a heavy and a medium spring. Make sure the headrest behind you is all the way flat, and then we will lie down and go into our bridging. Okay, so go ahead, lie all the way down. Head between the shoulder blocks, and we're going to take the heels onto the foot bar about hip-width distance apart, so 2 to 3 inches between the heels. And then go ahead and flex the feet. Roll the shoulders down out of the ears. Take an inhale here to prepare. And then as you exhale, we're going to tuck the tailbone and roll up to the hips, bone by bone. Lifting the hips up to the ceiling. Pause for an inhale at the top. And then as you exhale, tuck and roll back down through the spine, bone by bone. All the way back down until you tilt the pelvis back into neutral. Pause for an inhale, and then exhale, tuck and roll it up. Straight through the spine. Pause, inhale, and then exhale, articulate down through the spine again. All the way back through. Tuck and roll it up. When you get to the very top of the bridge, be sure that my bottom 2 ribs are staying laced, still tightening that seatbelt to avoid overextending the low back. Pause for the inhale. And then exhale, piece by piece, articulate through the spine, all the way down until you tilt back into a neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Inhale, exhale, roll through, keeping the knees in line with the toes, in line with the hips, staying parallel. Pause, inhale, and then exhale, rolling back down and through. Go for 2 more. Articulate and roll it all the way up. Shoulder blades melt down the back. Pause, inhale. Exhale, rolling through. Keep firing up through the glutes and the hamstrings. And one more time, tuck and roll through the hips, bone by bone. All the way through. Pause, inhale. And then exhale, articulate down through the spine. Very good. And now from here, we're going to go into some single leg bridge. So I'm going to leave my left heel on the foot bar. I'm going to take my right leg up to a table, straight up to the sky. Today I'm going to flex my heel, and I'm going to think of energy reaching through my heel to the ceiling like I'm trying to punch a hole into the ceiling with my right heel. Keep the hips nice and square. It's going to be a flat back bridge. Take an inhale here to prepare, and then as you exhale, press up and lift. Inhale, I tap the tailbone back to the carriage. Exhale, press. And then inhale. Again, I'm still thinking of my right hip staying squared with my left as I'm pressing up and down. Use the exhale and the scoop of the low abdominals to lift. And inhale, lower, flat back. Press. Inhale, tap it down. Let's go for 2 more here. Exhale, lift it for 2. And one last time. Exhale, press and lift. Hold. Flex that heel. Little pulses up and down on this left glute. 10, 9, pressing 8. Square the hips. 7, relax the shoulders. 6, 5, lace the bottom ribs. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring it all the way back down. Good. Shake out the left leg for a quick second if you need. We're going to switch things up. I'm going to take my right heel to the foot bar. It's just right of center, in line with my right hip bone. My left foot, I'm going to flex up towards the ceiling. Lengthen through the back of that left leg. Take an inhale here to prepare, and then I'm going to exhale, hinge up, flat back. Press up with my right leg. Inhale, I tap my tailbone back down. Exhale, hollow my abdominals and lift. And then inhale, I lower. Feel my bottom 2 ribs knitting together. And then trying to keep my left hip squared with the right as I press. At the top of the bridge, allow my bottom 2 ribs to stay knitting together. Still scooping from the pelvic floor. 2 more here. Exhale, press it up for 2. 1 last one. Press and hold. Pulse up and down with the right leg. Exhale and exhale. Go for 8, 7, 6, 5. Relax shoulders. 4, 3. Navel in. 2, 1. And I bring it back down. Good. Shake out the right leg for a second if you need. From here, we're going to go into a Pilates V on the heels. So I'm going to have my heels together on the foot bar, knees and toes are apart. And then it's going to be a flat back bridge. So from here, I'm going to hinge up with a flat back. I'm going to exhale and I press the hips up. And then I inhale, tap the tailbone down. Exhale, let the bottom 2 ribs knit together. Inhale and it lowers. Press and lift. As I press up, think of tightening a seatbelt from tailbone to belly button. Go up for 3 more for 3. Press the heels together on the foot bar. Exhale, lift it 2. Shoulder blades melt down my back. Last one, I press and hold. Drop my ribs down 1 inch, connecting my navel to the spine. I'm going to press the carriage all the way out to straight legs, zipping up through my inner thighs, and then pull the carriage back home. I'm going to go for an exhale as I press it away, and then an inhale as I pull the carriage in. Zip up through the backs of the knees, through the inner thighs. Pull the hips at the heels. Scoop with my low abdominals, lace my rib cage together. Inhale, I bring it in. Let's go for 3 more for 3. Good. Press it out here for 2. And then 1 last one. Exhale. Inhale, bring the carriage in. And then let's lower the hips down. Very nice. Go ahead, bring the knees into the chest, give them a nice big hug. If you need to, kind of circle the knees and the hips on the carriage. Just releasing any tension in the low back there. If you need a hamstring stretch, extend the legs up to the ceiling, reach behind the calves or the ankles, and gently pull down, stretching the back of the legs and the lower back a little deeper. And then carefully just rock yourself on up. So from here, rocking up to a seated position, we're going to get set up for some single arms, facing sideways on the carriage. I'm going to take my springs to just 1 blue. If you're on a stott reformer, maybe a single white. Sometimes a single blue is a little too heavy, so you can start with a single white or bump it up to a single blue if you're comfortable with that. If you're going through on a balanced body reformer and that blue spring is feeling too heavy, you're always welcome to drop it down to maybe a single yellow if you have that spring. And then we're going to kneel down facing sideways on the reformer. So I'm going to be a few inches away from the shoulder blocks. My knees are going to be about hip width distance apart here. Going to reach down and grab the strap that's nearest. And I'm going to bring it into my right hand. So, just working for a simple Zorro, I'm going to start with my right hand into my left pocket, square the shoulders with the hips. I'm going to take an inhale to prepare, and then as I exhale, reach my right arm over and across on a slight angle. And then inhale, and I bring it back into that left hip. Exhale, I press over. Inhale, bringing it in. Feel the belly button. Draw into my spine and up to my ribs. And then I inhale it. Think of pulling with my lat muscle from underneath my arm, keeping the shoulders nice and square. And then check in with the back of the legs. My glutes and my hamstrings are still active. Inhale, let's go for 3 more. Exhale, I pull the right arm over for 3. And inhale in. Exhale, reaching it for 2. Good, and then one last one here. Exhale, I reach it over. Inhale into my left hip. Now I'm going to switch that strap into my left hand. And I'm going to bring my elbow and my palm parallel to the floor. I'm going to work through a little bit of left chest, left arm, and abdominals. So I'm going to take an inhale to prepare, and then as I exhale, I'm going to press the arm across the body, give a twist into my spine, and then I inhale, bringing it back center. Exhale it over. Think of the belly button drawing in. You're almost wringing out the abdominals like a sponge as I exhale, press across. And then inhale. Rotate around the spine as I press. Inhale. I'm engaging my right side abdominals. I draw the belly button in. I'm scooping from my low pelvic floor. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale, I press it over for 3. Inhale, bringing it in. Exhale it here for 2. And then one last one. Exhale, press across. Engage that right side abdominal. And then I bring it back center. Good, now the last one that we're going to do is keep that left hand in the strap, but I'm going to interlace around that strap with my hands. I'm going to keep my hands in line with my spine. So I'm going to go for a little flow, or I'm going to sweep my arms straight up overhead. From here, I'm going to side bend towards my foot bar. I bring it up to tall. Hands go back in line with my spine, and then I bring them straight back down in front of the hips. So I'm going to lift it up with an inhale. Exhale, side bend it. Inhale, lifting back up. And then I can exhale, bring the hands back through center. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Side bend, shoulders reaching away from my ears. Inhale, I lift up to tall. And then exhale, bring it back through center. Go for 2 more flows. Reaching it up. Exhale, stretch my left side to the ceiling, right side cinches. Inhale, lift. And then back down. One last time here. I sweep it up. Exhale. Active glute still. Inhale and I lift. And then I bring it back down through middle. Very nice. All right, I'm going to keep a hold of that strap, and I'm actually going to turn towards the back of my reformer. And I'm going to work through a little bit of single arm triceps. So my right arm is going to be active here. So I'm going to bring my knees up towards my shoulder blocks, about hip width distance apart. For me, I'm going to choke up higher above the knot. You could choke up a little less if you need less tension in your springs. I'm going to go above the knot to get a little more tension in my spring. Roll both shoulders back, draw the belly button in. From there, I'm going to exhale as I extend my right arm to straight. And then I inhale, bend in. Exhale, I extend. And bend. So I'm hinged at the hips. I'm thinking of drawing my belly button up and away from my thigh bones. Both of my shoulders are rolling back and down. Still have active glutes. So I'm lifted up off of my heels. If you need to, you can always press the left hand into the shoulder block for some balance or support. Press through the right arm. Keep those shoulders square. Press the arm here. Go for 4. And inhale. Exhale, extending 3. We reach it for 2. And then one last one here. Exhale, I press extend. Inhale, I let it rest. Go ahead, we'll hang that strap up. We're going to stay facing the back of the reformer and go into the other side, other arm triceps. So I'm going to grab, for me again, I'm grabbing above the knot. You can choke up a little bit less if you need. Hinge at the hips, roll the shoulders back, left elbow to the rib cage, and then I'm going to exhale as I extend my left arm to straight. Inhale, I let it bend. Exhale, hollow the abdominals as I extend. Keep allowing the shoulders to roll back and down. Feel the navel scooping into my spine. I'm still trying to tighten that seatbelt from the tailbone to the belly button. Check in with the back of the legs. I still have active glutes. Chin is lengthening out of the chest. Back of the neck is nice and long. Let's go for 3 more extensions of that left arm. Exhale, I press it for 3. Inhale, I bend. Exhale, reach it for 2. And then one last one. Exhale, I press. Inhale, and then let it rest down for a second here. Very good. Okay, I'm going to keep a hold of that strap, and I'm going to give one more turn towards the right side of my reformer. I'm going to come to a high kneeling position, about hip-width distance apart. And I'm going to work through a Zorro in my left arm. So, strap goes into my left hand. I'm going to start to my right hip. Keep the shoulders squared with the hips. Take an inhale here to prepare. And then as you exhale, reach the left arm over and across on an angle. Inhale as I bring it back into my right hip. Exhale, I extend. And then inhale. Think of engaging from the lat muscle underneath that left arm. Inhale. Let the bottom 2 ribs draw together. With my exhale. Still trying to scoop from the low abdominals. The pelvic floor scoops up all the way up to my ribs. Imagine you're still trying to tighten that seatbelt from your tailbone around to the belly button here. Let's go for 3 more extensions of that left arm. Exhale, I reach it across the body here for 3. Inhale, bringing it in. Over for 2. And then in, and then the last one here. Exhale, reach that left arm over and across. And then back into the right hip. All right, now from here, it's going to go into my right hand. So my right hand goes into the loop. My palm and my elbow are parallel to the floor just below my shoulder line. I'm going to take an inhale here to prepare. And then as I exhale, I reach my right arm over and across, twisting around my spine. Inhale, I let it unwind. Exhale, my belly button scoops into my spine. Wring out those abdominals like a sponge. And then inhale, unwind. Still think of my right shoulder staying out of the ear as I press across and I twist. Inhale, bring it in. Check in with the glutes. I still have active glutes, active hamstrings through the back of my legs. Engage into your left side obliques, left side abdominals, drawing in as I'm twisting. Let's go for 2 more here. Exhale, draw the navel in as I twist. Inhale to unwind. Last one. Press over and across. And then inhale, coming back to center. Now I keep my right hand in the strap. I'm just going to interlace with both hands around that strap. I'm going to keep my hands in line with my spine here. So in line with my sternum, in line with my spine. Roll the shoulders back and down. I'm going to inhale as I sweep my arms up overhead. And then as I exhale, side bend to my foot bar. Inhale, I lift it up to tall. And then I exhale, bring the hands back down in front of the hips. Inhale, lift. Exhale, I side bend. Inhale, lifting up tall. And then exhale, bringing the arms back down. As I sweep the arms up overhead, still trying to reach the shoulders away from my ears. From here, I'm trying to stretch my right side up to the ceiling as I cinch into my left side abdominals. Inhale, I lift it up tall. And then I exhale, bring it back down. 2 more. Sweep the arms up. Exhale, I side bend. Drawing the navel in. Inhale, I lift it up tall. And then exhale, bringing it down. 1 last time here. Sweep and lift. And stretch. Engage left side abdominals. Inhale, lift up tall. And then I lower. Arm, bring them back down to center. Very nice. Go ahead, let it relax for a second. We're going to hang that strap up. Hop off to the side of your reformer. We're going to go to the left side here. And we're going to get set up for some lunges. We're going to go for lunges on the heavier side of things today because we aren't using any props. So we're going to activate a little bit deeper into the glutes and the hamstrings with a heavier spring. So I'm going to bring my springs to just 1 red. If you're on a stott reformer, that might look like a blue or a blue and a white. So that's like a medium and a light spring. To kind of get that heavier spring setting for your lunges. And then I'm going to stand with my left foot here onto the floor. My toes are going to be just shy of the edge of the carriage. And then I'm going to bring my right foot into my shoulder block. My knees are going to be about into the same line here. So about in the same line with my knees. Make sure that my shoulders are squared with the hips here. And then we're going to lower into this left leg, and as I lunge into my left, I'm going to press the carriage out with my right. My belly button is drawing up and away from my left thigh bone. And then I'm going to drive through the whole of my left foot, stand up tall, bend my right knee as I bring the carriage back in. So I lower down into my lunge, press the carriage out with my right, hinge out flat back, scoop my low abdominals, slow and controlled as I bring the carriage back in. If you prefer, you can exhale as you press away. And then you can inhale as you bring it back in. Or if you prefer, you can inhale as you press it away. And then you can exhale as you slow and control bring the carriage back in. But either way, think of your shoulder blades just kind of melting and gliding down the back of the body as you drop into the lunge. And then I'm scooping through my low abdominals, bringing the carriage in, slow and controlled. It's really easy for us as we're lunging on the side of the reformer for the hip to open up to the side. Think of dropping your right hip low, left hip back to keep the hip square. And then drive the whole of the left foot, activating it deeper into the glute and the hamstring of the left leg. 2 more here. Lower down into that lunge, pressing it out. And then use the foot, scoop through the abdominals, roll the shoulders back, bringing the carriage in. 1 more here, press and extend. Good, and then we're going to hold it here. Bring your hands to the foot bar. So from here, I'm going to go for a sweeping lunge. So I'm going to keep my hands to the left of my foot bar. I'm going to keep weight into my right leg. My right leg is nice and straight. I'm going to bring my left knee into my chest, and I'm going to go for a bit of a flamingo, rounding through the back of my neck and my spine, and then lowering back down into my lunge. Think exhale, lift. Inhale, and then I lower. Exhale it. Inhale down and controlled. Shoulders are still reaching out of the ears. One more here. Now I go for the sweeping lunge with a kick. So I'm going to go into more of a plank position, kick that left leg up high, lower back down into the lunge. Exhale it here. Inhale down. Shoulders reach away from the ears, press off that foot bar with the upper body. One more big kick. Exhale, sweep that left leg up. And down. Now from here, keeping my hands on the foot bar, I'm going to bring my left foot to meet my right foot into the shoulder block. So find a plank position, meeting my left foot to right foot. Long, flat back, chin out of the chest, shoulders roll back and down. From here, I'm going to go for a bit of a long stretch. So I'm drawing my abdominals in. I'm going to inhale as I push away from my foot bar. And then I exhale it. Bring my shoulders back over the hands. Inhale, I press away. And then I exhale. Bringing it home. Inhale. If you need to modify, you can do the same movement on your knees. One more here. Inhale. Exhale, bring it home. And then we're going to drop down to the knees just to give it a little rest. Feet into the shoulder blocks, hips to the knees, hips to the heels, and then press out for a child's pose. Just let your head fall between your shoulders. Open up and expand into the chest here. Good, and then let that carriage come all the way back in. Now from here, we're going to do the same thing on the right side of the reformer. So hopping off to the right, I'm going to bring my right foot to the floor for my lunge. Just shy of the edge of the carriage. My knees are going to be about into the same line. Left foot into my shoulder block. From here, I'm going to go for a flat back. I'm going to press the carriage out as I lunge into my right leg. Drop down into my right knee. And then I'm going to drive through the hole of my right foot as I bring the carriage back home. Press it out and away. Let the shoulder blades melt down my back. Drive through that right foot. Scoop for the low abdominals. Navel drawing up and in. Let the shoulder blades melt and glide down the back of the body here. And then hollow through the abdominals. Bring it back in. Keep my left hip squared with my right as I go down into that lunge. Scoop the low abdominals, let my bottom ribs draw in. 3 more here. Drop into the lunge. Press the left leg all the way out to straight. Energy through the back of my left knee. And then I drive the whole of my right foot. Activate the glute, the hamstring, the right leg. Lift with the low abdominals. 2 more here for 2. Pressing out and away. Bringing it in. Shoulders keep rolling back and down. My belly button is lifting away from my right thigh bone. And then on this last one, we're going to go all the way down and hold. So I lower down into my lunge, hold it here, bring my hands to the right side of my foot bar. I'm going to keep my left leg nice and straight. Weight into my left toes. I'm going to bend my right knee into my chest, a little flamingo as I round through the spine and the back of the neck. Inhale, prepare, and then as I exhale, round it through, a little pike in the hips. Lower into my lunge, exhale it up, and then down, back to flat back. 2 more here. Exhale, scoop and lift. Now we go for that sweeping lunge. So now I'm going to go for more of a plank, kick my right leg up, Inhale, I lower into my lunge. Exhale, sweep. Inhale it down. Two more here. Draw the navel in for 2. Keep pushing upper body off that foot bar. Good, last one here. We lower down. Now keep my hands on the bar. I'm going to bring my right foot to my left foot, finding a plank position. Feet are against the shoulder block, side by side. I'm going to go drawing my abdominals up and in. Shoulders reaching out at my ears. Long stretch. Inhale, pushing away. Exhale, draw it in. Shoulders back over the hands. Inhale, I stretch. Exhale it. 3 more. Inhale, shoulders away from my ears. Exhale, pull with my lat muscles, bring my shoulders over the hands. Keep those abdominals drawing up and in. Exhale, whew. Bring it up, one last one here. Inhale, stretch. And then I exhale it. Bring it up. And then drop those knees down. Ooh, very good. Feet into the shoulder blocks. Drop your hips to the heels. And then go for a little child's pose, pushing off the foot bar. Head falls between the shoulders. Expand through the chest. Big breath in. And exhale, letting it release. Good, let the carriage come all the way home. All right, we're gonna finish things off with some feet and straps. So I'm gonna take my springs to 2 reds. If you like it heavier, you could always bump it up to 1 red, 1 green. On a stott reformer, I usually like to go to a red and a blue, so a heavy and a medium. Headrest can go up or down, whatever you prefer. And then go ahead, lie down on the back. Head between the shoulder blocks. Reach over the blocks, find your straps, feet into the loops. And then let's take the feet to about a 45-degree angle. Start with the heels in a V. Slight turn out with the feet and the knees and the hips. Inhale as you bend the knees in. And then exhale, press the legs out to straight. Inhale, bend. Exhale. So just like when we did in our footwork, think of zipping up from the heels into the calves, the knees, the inner thighs. Think of the inner thighs rotating to face the ceiling, backs of the knees drawing together. Inhale. Exhale, press it away. Think of your tailbone again being heavy and anchored into the carriage. If you can maintain a neutral spine, keep that neutral spine engaged. If you need to, you can imprint the lower back. Exhale, extend the legs. Let's go for 3 more extensions. Inhale to bend. Exhale, we press away. For 2. And then the last one here. I'm going to press my legs all the way out to straight. I'm going to bring my feet up over the hips. Still keep a slight turnout. I'm going to go for small leg circles to begin. So I'm just going to go out and around about the size, width of my carriage. Swoop your feet down towards the foot bar. And then inhale, lift. Exhale, out and around. Active glutes, active inner thighs. Draw from the low abdominals. Out and around. One more, nice and narrow. Active glutes, pull with the back of the legs. Now I'm going to go for more of a mobility. So I'm going to go for a nice wide circle. So when the legs fall wide for big inner thigh stretch, sweep down, out and around towards my foot bar. Inhale, the feet float up, out and around. Inhale, lift. My shoulders are still lengthening out of my ears. One more big this way, out and around. and then lift, and then we'll reverse. Active glutes, pull with the back of the glute, the hamstring, the back of the knee, out and around, narrow for the first ones. Good, keeping activation in the back of the legs. My navel draws in. Inhale out and around. 2 more. And then one last one. We're going to go for 4 more, nice and wide. So I'm going to pull the feet down to about 45. Active inner thighs, my legs circle out wide, out and around. They float back over the hips and repeat. Sweep down. Let the shoulders relax out of the ears. 2 more here. Out and around. And then last one. Wide out and around. And then you are all finished. Carefully go ahead, take your feet out of the straps. Hang them up. Let's go ahead, hop off to the side of your reformer. We'll do one last roll down here all together. So hopping off to the side, stand with the feet about hip-width distance apart. We'll take an inhale, letting the arms sweep out wide. And then as you exhale, dive it forward and round out through the back, hollow out through the abdominals, fold in half. And while you're here, just relax your neck and shake the head no. Nod your head yes. And then bend your knees. And then slowly stack the spine up, bone by bone, all the way up to the top. When you get to the top, shoulder shrug out of the ears. Very nice. And then you are all finished for today. Thank you so much for joining me on our full body reformer workout with no props, just using our body. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all again next time.